Hey guys, it's Sagar, and in this video, I am comparing the OnePlus Nord 2 with the Mi 11X. Last year when OnePlus introduced the OnePlus Nord, it barely had any competition in that segment, so OnePlus did very well with it. Fast forward to a year later, and now this segment is very tightly packed with competition from all the brands. The Mi 11X is Xiaomi's attempt to dominate the segment, but OnePlus also wants its share of the pie back, so they introduced the OnePlus Nord 2. Both these phones fall in a similar price range, which is causing the confusion in the minds of many people that which one should they get. If you are one of them, you have clicked on the right video. We will put both these phones under a microscope, look at what they offer, dive deep into their similarities and differences, and then in the end, help you decide which would be the right one for your needs. I'm not just going to brush up on some of their features or read the specs sheet and call it a comparison video. This is going to be a slightly longer video with a lot of useful information, so without wasting any time, let us get to the first point which everyone has to think about when getting a new phone: the price. Mi 11X comes in two RAM and storage variants. The 6GB RAM and 128GB storage variant is priced at 27,999, and the 8GB RAM and 128GB storage variant is available at 29,999 rupees. There are three color options to choose from: Celestial Silver, Cosmic Black and Luna White. All the color and storage variants of the Mi 11X are available for purchase right now. OnePlus Nord 2 gets 3 RAM and storage variants. Just like the Mi 11X, the 6GB RAM and 128GB storage variant is priced at 27,999 rupees. This variant is not available right now. In typical OnePlus fashion, it will go on sale in limited quantities at the end of next month, and after that we might never see it again. Then there is the 8GB RAM variant with 128GB of built-in storage, and it is available for 29,999 rupees. And finally, for those who need more storage, there is a 12GB RAM and 256GB storage variant of the OnePlus Nord 2, which is being sold at 34,999 rupees. The Nord 2 also gets three color options: Blue Haze, Grey Sierra and Greenwood. The Greenwood color again isn't available right now. It will go on sale in the middle of next month, and it will be available only in India. So price wise, both these phones are pretty evenly matched. Base variant of the Nord 2 is still over a month away. So if you want a phone right now and you can't stretch your budget beyond 28,000 rupees, you should go with the Mi 11X. These are of course their retail prices at the time of uploading this video, and you can get both these phones at a pretty heavy discount if you go with some of the exchange offers or some credit or debit card discounts. For the current pricing and discount offers, make sure to click on the link in the description section. If you have liked this video so far and if you still haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon next to it. I am trying to get this channel to 200k subscribers by the end of this year, and this is your chance to help me get there. With the prices taken care of, let us check out the design of both these phones. Both of them get a plastic frame running around the device, and it is sandwiched by Gorilla Glass 5 from either sides. The Mi 11X gets a frosted matte finish to the back of the Celestial Silver and Luna White colors, while the Cosmic Black color gets a glossy back. Nord 2 on the other hand gets three different finishes to its back. The Blue Haze color has a glossy back. This Grey Sierra color has a frosted matte glass back, and the Greenwood color has a leather-like finish to its back. I am a big fan of the frosted matte back, but it is nice to see OnePlus giving people more options. The matte finish on the Mi 11X is silky smooth, while it is a bit more coarse or rougher on the back of the Nord 2. Now I'm sure most people won't even notice the difference, but I do, and I like the finish on the OnePlus Nord 2. The overall design of both these phones is not that different. Both have a full screen display at the front with a punch hole style cutout for their selfie cameras and a triple camera array at the back on the top left. The Mi 11X is slightly taller and wider than the OnePlus Nord 2, but it is also 0.5mm thinner, so it doesn't feel too bulky. Nord 2 is slightly smaller, so it fits in my hands a bit better. It is also 6 or 7 grams lighter than the Mi 11X, but given its size and thickness, it somehow feels heavier of the two. Let me make this very clear, this phone is not the heavier one, but because of its size and dimensions, it feels like it is the heavier one of the two. Xiaomi has done a better job of distributing the weight of the Mi 11X evenly around the entire body of the phone. It also gets IP53 dust and water resistance rating, which the Nord 2 doesn't. Coming to the ports and buttons, Mi 11X has its power and volume buttons on the right side. It also gets a physical fingerprint sensor, which is sitting under the power button. Nord 2 has its power button and the signature OnePlus alert slider on the right side. At the top, Nord only has a secondary noise cancelling microphone, whereas the Mi 11X gets a noise cancelling microphone, IR blaster and a secondary speaker grill here. Left side of the Mi 11X is left completely clean without any buttons or ports, but the Nord 2 has its volume buttons on this side. At the bottom, both of them have their speaker grill, USB Type-C port for charging and data transfer, a microphone and a SIM tray. The SIM trays on both these phones can hold 2 nano SIM cards, and both of them don't have an option to expand their storage further via a micro SD card. Build of the buttons on the Mi 11X feels a bit flimsy over the buttons of the Nord 2, which feels rigid and has a very satisfying clicky feedback. For my average size hands, both these phones are two-handed devices. But because the OnePlus Nord 2 is slightly smaller in all dimensions, it fits a bit better in my hands. That being said, no matter which one you decide to get, you will easily get used to the size and weight within a day or two. Mi 11X has an overall bigger form factor to accommodate its larger 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display. This display has a resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels, gets 120Hz refresh rate, 360Hz touch sampling rate, has 1300 nits of peak brightness while viewing HDR content, supports HDR10+, and is protected by Gorilla Glass 5. Nord 2 has a slightly smaller 6.43-inch Fluid AMOLED panel. It also comes with a resolution of 2400 by 1080 pixels. This one has 90Hz refresh rate, 1080Hz touch sampling rate, and also supports HDR10+ content. And this display also gets the Gorilla Glass 5 protection. I like and prefer the display on the Mi 11X, not because it is bigger, but because it can get much brighter and it shows much more accurate colors compared to the OnePlus Nord 2. The white balance and colors on the display of the Nord 2 don't seem to be very accurate. And on top of that, there are very limited display calibrations or customization options when compared to the Mi 11X, which will let you adjust the display any way you like it. While watching HDR videos on both, Mi 11X not only gets much brighter, but it also shows richer colors and blacks are deeper on it as well. Viewing angles seem to be good on both, and there is no weird shift in color or anything like that when you look at these displays from various angles. If you are getting a phone for watching a lot of videos, you should go with the Mi 11X as its display seems to be much better than the one on the Nord 2. It seems like display quality is one of the places where OnePlus tried to cut a few corners. Since Mi 11X's display has 120Hz refresh rate compared to the 90Hz on the Nord 2, everything on the Mi 11X feels a bit smoother. Small things like animations or swiping seems to be faster on the Mi 11X. It also has 360Hz touch sampling rate, which becomes very important while playing games and can turn out to be the difference between you taking the shot or being shot while playing FPS games. After all, every time you pick up your phone, the display is what you look at, so it is always better to go with a phone which offers you a better display. Both of them have punch hole style camera cutouts for their selfie cameras. The one on the Mi 11X is very tiny and it is on the top middle of the display, whereas the one on the Nord 2 is a hair bigger and is placed on the top left of the display. Now this completely depends on your personal preference, but I prefer my selfie cameras to be placed in the middle because it makes the phone feel more symmetrical. Now I don't take a lot of selfies, but when I do, I find it easier to frame myself when the selfie camera is in the center. Both these phones have wideband L1 certification and they can even play HDR videos on YouTube. But the Nord 2 has some issues. While watching videos on Amazon Prime, there is no 1080p HD option which we see on the Mi 11X, and in the Netflix app, while both these phones can play full HD content, Nord 2 doesn't seem to have the support for HDR playback, but the Mi 11X does. So again, I think Mi 11X is a better phone for consuming media. Nord 2 gets an in-display fingerprint sensor and most people love it. Mi 11X on the other hand gets a physical capacitive fingerprint sensor mounted on its side under the power button. While both of them have their advantages and disadvantages, it really comes down to which one you prefer. As cool as the in-display fingerprint sensor looks, I prefer the physical one, and there are a few reasons for that. First of all, physical one is much easier to find and hit accurately every time, whereas you have to be a bit cautious about the placement of the in-display one. Physical one is also much faster and accurate to unlock your phone, and no matter how fast companies tell you that the in-display ones are, they are just not as fast as the physical ones, at least on these non-flagship phones. Since the optical in-display ones like the one on the Nord 2 need light to read your fingerprint, you need to go through the extra step of waking the screen first, even if you have the always on display turned on all the time. Whereas the one on the Mi 11X is always on, and you can even touch it while picking up the phone or removing it from your pocket and have it unlocked by the time you look at it. This feels like a small thing, and some might even think that how many seconds can you actually save while unlocking your phone. But an average person unlocks their phone a few hundred times every day, so this really adds up to a significant time over years. And lastly, the fingerprint sensor on the Nord 2 is placed way too low for your thumb to comfortably reach. I feel like the one on the OnePlus 8 was placed at the best location. So if anyone from OnePlus is watching, please place the fingerprint sensors on your phone at least about 1 inch away from the bottom bezel. Alright, so after having spent way too much time on the fingerprint sensors, let us move on to the speakers on both these phones. First of all, let me tell you straight away, none of these phones come with a 3.5mm headphone jack. Mi 11X does however come with a USB Type-C to 3.5mm headphone jack dongle in the box, which you can just keep attached to the headphones or earphones of your choice. Now for the speakers on the phone, both of them offer dual speaker stereo output. The Mi 11X actually has dual speakers, one at the top and one at the bottom, whereas the Nord 2 uses the earpiece speaker as its secondary speaker. Here is how both of them sound. This audio is being played via the speakers on both these phones. It is recorded via a microphone straight into my Sony camera, and you're listening to it after YouTube's compression out of the speakers of your device. So keep all of this in mind. I don't know if you could tell it through the video or not, but both of them can get pretty loud. Nord 2's output seem to be slightly louder because one of its speakers is firing the audio straight towards you, while the Mi 11X is firing its audio away from us. Audio from the Nord 2 also sounds a bit deeper, and I could hear the instrument separation slightly better from its speakers. Mi 11X gets Dolby Atmos support and custom equalization options, so you can fine-tune the music coming out of its speakers according to your liking. If you like to listen to your audio via the loudspeaker, I think the Nord 2 has a slight edge over the Mi 11X in this department. Coming to the internals, this time OnePlus went with MediaTek's Dimensity 1200 processor. This is MediaTek's most powerful processor and it is built on 6nm architecture. It is coupled with Mali G77 GPU, 6, 8 or 12GB of LPDDR4X RAM, 128 or 256GB of UFS 3.1 storage and 4500 mAh dual cell battery. Xiaomi went with a more traditional approach and included a Snapdragon 870 processor inside this Mi 11X. This is built on 7nm architecture and is coupled with Adreno 650 GPU, 6 or 8GB of LPDDR5 RAM, 128GB of UFS 3.1 storage and 4520 mAh battery. Both these phones are 5G enabled, but the Mi 11X only supports 2 5G bands, whereas the Nord 2 supports 6 5G bands. The Nord 2 gets an NFC chip for making contactless payments, which the Mi 11X doesn't have. Although both phones have different processors inside, and the Snapdragon processor in the Mi 11X scores slightly higher on the benchmarks, the real-life performance of these phones is not too far away from each other. GPU on the Nord 2 isn't strong enough to give you as smooth performance as the Mi 11X for long hours of gaming sessions. But other than that, while using most of the day-to-day apps on both these phones, you won't be able to tell a difference in their performance. When placed side by side, some apps and games seem to open faster on the Mi 11X, and its UI also seems smoother, but then that is due to the 120Hz refresh rate. If you plan on playing a lot of games for a long time, then out of these two, you should go with the Mi 11X. Actually, this is the first time OnePlus is using a MediaTek processor, so maybe they need slightly more time to optimize the gaming performance on this Nord 2. Internals, performance and software goes hand in hand, so let us talk about the software on both these phones. Mi 11X is running MIUI 12.5 and the OnePlus Nord 2 is running the latest version of Oxygen OS 11, both of which are built on top of Android 11. In terms of looks, Oxygen OS is way better, cleaner and minimal than MIUI 12.5. Xiaomi installs a lot of bloatware on their phones to begin with, and if you're not careful while setting this phone up, those apps can send you numerous vague notifications. None of this is an issue on Oxygen OS. Other than a few Google apps and Netflix, you will barely see any bloatware on the Nord 2 out of the box. The MIUI 12.5 has been out for some time, so Xiaomi has got a lot of time to clean and iron some of its bugs with software updates. While the Oxygen OS 11.3 on the Nord 2 is fairly new, so you are definitely going to see a few small bugs here and there. OnePlus has merged their codebase with ColorOS, so there have been a lot of changes behind the scenes. And some of those changes even pop out on this OnePlus Nord 2. Like the display and battery settings look a lot like what you see on Realme phones, and the camera app on the Nord 2 is straight out of a Realme phone. This might not be much of an issue if the Nord 2 is going to be your first OnePlus smartphone, but if you are currently using a OnePlus phone and you are planning to shift to the Nord 2, you won't find the UI and some design elements to be as clean or minimal. The software on both these phones is fairly customizable, so someone getting this phone should not have any issues making it their own. Software update wise, both these phones should get 2 major Android updates and 3 years of security updates. While OnePlus has said this publicly, Xiaomi has made no such promises. Both the phones get a somewhat similar sized battery. Nord 2 comes with a 4500 mAh dual cell battery and the Mi 11X packs in a 4520 mAh battery. So both the phones should comfortably last you an entire day. If you want to get into specifics, on the Mi 11X I get a screen on time of about 6.5 or 7 hours easily, while on the Nord 2 I get a screen on time of nearly 6 hours. The battery on the Nord 2 has to power a smaller display which doesn't even get that bright, but its battery still lasts less than the one on the Mi 11X. This might be because of the power efficient Snapdragon 870 processor on the Mi 11X. That being said, when it comes to charging both of them up, the competition is not even close. Mi 11X comes with a 33W charger in the box, whereas the Nord 2 comes with a 65W charger and a dual cell battery, which can fully juice up from 0 to 100% insanely fast. So when it comes to charging both these phones, Nord 2 is an undisputed winner. Coming to the cameras, these are easily one of the most important features for many people, and both these phones come with a triple camera setup on their back. Mi 11X gets a 48MP Sony IMX582 sensor as its main camera, an 8MP sensor with ultra-wide-angle lens, and lastly a 5MP sensor with a macro lens in front of it. Nord 2 comes with a 50MP Sony IMX766 sensor as its main camera. Then there is an 8MP sensor with an ultra-wide-angle lens, and finally a 2MP monochrome camera. At the front, Mi 11X gets a 20MP selfie camera, whereas the Nord 2 comes with a 32MP front-facing camera. Now the main camera on the Nord 2 uses the same sensor as the wide camera on the OnePlus 9 Pro, so everyone has big expectations from this camera. Mi 11X's main camera is not a new sensor, it is actually a few years old, but if you guys saw my camera review of this phone, you might know that it is capable of taking some really good images. But how does it stack up against the cameras on the Nord 2? Here are some of the images from both the phones. Both images are looking good and seem to have similar amount of details in them. But there is a clear difference between the color temperature and white balance of these images. One from the Mi 11X appears a bit warmer, whereas the Nord's images are a bit on the cooler side. Actual colors were more like what Nord is showing in this shot. In this one, there isn't a big difference in terms of white balance, but the Mi 11X seems to have captured slightly better looking colors. As we zoom in on these images, Mi 11X also seems to have captured a lot of noise, whereas the image processing on the Nord 2 has done well to keep this noise down. But we also see that the Mi 11X's image is much sharper compared to the Nord's image. In overcast conditions, we see the Nord 2 capturing cooler but true-to-life colors and slightly brighter images. The Mi 11X on the other hand is crushing the shadows a bit. There is a bit more contrast in Mi 11X's images, and it also captures slightly warmer colors, which makes the colors in its images seem more saturated than the ones in the Nord's image. None of them are showing bad looking colors, but which one of these you like will depend on your color preference. When it comes to HDR situations, Nord 2 is doing a better job of bringing up the shadows and preserving slightly more information in the highlights. But in this process, its images are turning out to be a bit too processed. Now some might like this look. After all, its images are showing a lot more information in the parts which are completely dark in the image from the Mi 11X. I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't look very natural to me. I think OnePlus needs to tone down the HDR mode on this Nord 2 a bit for the images to look good and natural. If you think the difference is big, check out how much wider it gets in lower lighting conditions. Even without the night mode, look at how much brighter and detailed images from the Nord 2 are. This is mainly thanks to the optical image stabilization on its main camera. With the night mode turned on, images from the Nord 2 seem like they were clicked in daytime. Just look at the amount of details and light in these shots. I did not take a lot of selfies, but from just these shots, anyone can tell that the selfie camera on the Nord 2 is not really good. I don't know if it is optimization issue or what the actual problem is. All I can say is that please don't get the Nord 2 if you like to take a lot of selfies. Now this is not a dedicated TechWorks style camera comparison video, so I'm not going to show images in each and every lighting conditions. But even from just these images, you get a fairly good idea of which images you might prefer. In the next few days, I'm going to come up with a very detailed camera comparison between both these phones, where I'm going to share more than 100 image and video samples from each of them in various lighting conditions. If the camera is your main deciding factor, I would suggest you guys to be a bit patient and wait until that video goes live on the channel. In daytime, the difference in details is not that much, so look at the one whose colors seem more natural to you. But if you want to take images in lower light, Nord 2 is the undisputed winner. Finally, OnePlus seems to have got the cameras right on one of their phones. Again, for a much deeper dive into their cameras, make sure to check out the camera comparison video which is coming out in the next few days. There are some other things that make each of these special. Nord 2 has the alert slider which makes switching profiles so much faster and simpler. It also gets NFC chip, and if you are in the habit of using your phone for contactless payments, this is a must-have feature. Mi 11X gets an IR blaster which many people love and use to control various appliances across their home. It also gets a dedicated macro camera which, if you know how to use properly, can end up giving you incredible images. And it also gets the USB Type-C to 3.5mm headphone jack adapter in the box. Something that both these phones have is a strong haptic motor. It is so good to finally see Android manufacturers embracing this and adding small haptic feedbacks throughout the user interface. So after looking at all these things, your decision might come down to this. Do you prefer a phone with a bigger display or one with a slightly more manageable form factor? If I were you, I would go with the Mi 11X for its display. Not just because of the size, but because how bright it can get and because of the overall display quality. Performance of both these phones is pretty neck and neck, but if you want a phone for gaming, again go for the Mi 11X. If you want a phone with a better main camera, go with the Nord 2. It seems to be doing better with colors, and it just blows the Mi 11X out of the park when it comes to low light photography. Although I think that the Mi 11X lasts longer on a single charge, but I would still say go with the Nord 2 for the battery. It won't last that long on a single charge, but the speed at which it can juice back up is just incredible. It is not too often that I get to compare two phones which are so evenly matched, and in the end the decision might even come down to just which of the brands you prefer. So after knowing all this, which one of these two would you pick? If you're still confused, go through the video again and note down the pros and cons of both these phones. Maybe that will help you decide. Once you have decided which one you are going to get, don't forget to let us know about it in the comments. Your comment might help someone in their decision making process. That is it for this comparison video between the OnePlus Nord 2 and the Mi 11X. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.